Hello, my friends. As always, today we have a brand new story. Turn up the volume, find a quiet place, put on your headphones, and focus. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support us so we can keep bringing you mysterious and powerful stories. We're also thinking of sharing short stories as reels. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments. Now, imagine waking up in a familiar place, but something's not right. Tiny details have changed. The silence feels heavier, and the mirror, it no longer reflects you the way it used to. Something is waiting for you, something you can no longer ignore. Let's begin the story. Don't trust the mirror. After midnight. After the divorce, Karim didn't want a fresh start. He wanted silence. A place where the world wouldn't follow him. No memories, no questions, just walls and time. He found an old apartment downtown. The kind no one really wants, with creaky floors and a chill that never leaves, even in summer. It smelled of forgotten lives, and that suited him just fine. The most striking thing in the apartment was a tall mirror bolted into the wall of the living room. It was old, too old. The edges were chipped, the glass slightly foggy, like it had seen too much and never recovered. Yet, despite its wear, it reflected everything, or so it seemed. Karim didn't think much of it at first. He was too tired to care. He unpacked a single bag, set down a mattress, and sat in silence. The city buzzed beyond the cracked windows, but inside, only stillness. That night, as he passed by the mirror on his way to the kitchen, something strange caught his eye. His reflection. It felt off. He leaned in, narrowing his eyes. His face looked back. Yes, same beard, same tired eyes, but something about the timing was wrong. He lifted his hand. The reflection followed, a second late. He blinked, confused, tried it again. This time, the mirror responded as it should. He shook his head. "I need sleep," he muttered. But even as he walked away, a quiet shiver trailed down his spine. The kind that whispers, "You're not alone." Karim didn't sleep well that night. The mattress was cold. The silence, louder than expected. Shadows moved across the ceiling with every passing car outside, painting the walls with restless light. But what truly kept him awake was the mirror. He tried not to look at it, tried to tell himself it was just a trick of the eyes. Fatigue, nothing more. But as the hours passed, something inside him kept pulling his gaze back to it, like a magnet for the mind. At 2:13 a.m., he got up. Not to check the mirror, he told himself, just a drink of water. He walked through the dark hallway, barefoot, the wooden floor groaning beneath him. And as he passed the mirror again, he stopped. He didn't mean to. His feet did it on their own. There he was, standing in front of it. His own eyes staring back, tired, yes, but wide open. Then it happened again. He raised his right hand, and his reflection raised the left, not like a mirrored motion, like someone copying him without understanding how it works. Karim froze. Then the reflection smiled. He didn't. The smile vanished instantly, as if it had never been there. He stepped back. Hard. The glass stayed still. Calm, ordinary. He wanted to turn away, but found himself reaching for his phone instead. He opened the camera, pressed record, stared into the mirror again, and did the same gesture, hand up, then down. When he played the video back, nothing was wrong. Perfectly synced, normal. And yet, in the reflection on his phone, something bothered him. The man in the mirror looked like him, but it was exactly him. The next night came quicker than expected. Time had started to feel distorted. Karim stayed away from the mirror during the day, keeping the curtains closed, pretending it wasn't there. But by nightfall, the apartment seemed to contract, pulling him back to the center, back to the glass. He sat in silence, eyes locked on the television, though he wasn't really watching. Just light and noise to distract the growing tension in his chest. He glanced at the clock, 1:47 a.m. Then he heard it, faint, barely there, like a breath, a whisper. Karim. He paused the TV, held his breath. Nothing. He leaned closer to the window, thinking it might be someone outside. But the street was empty, silent. Karim, help me. This time, the voice was clearer, and it was coming from inside the apartment. He turned slowly. The mirror stood there, still and cold. He approached it, heart pounding. "Who's there?" he asked, almost embarrassed at how his voice trembled. Silence. He stood in front of the mirror, watching himself breathe. The reflection matched him perfectly this time. No delay, no mistakes. He was about to turn away when he heard it again. But this time, it was his own voice. "Please," it said, barely audible, as if spoken from behind glass. "You have to help me. I'm stuck." Karim staggered back, eyes wide. The reflection didn't move. He picked up his phone again, recording, desperate to catch proof. But the moment he pressed record, the mirror was just a mirror. Nothing more. No voice, no delay, no smile. Just him. And yet, the words echoed in his mind long after he laid back in bed. "I'm stuck." The following days blurred together. Karim stopped checking the time, stopped opening the curtains. He was still eating, still breathing, but something inside him was shifting. Every time he passed by the mirror, he felt it watching. Not in the metaphorical sense, in the literal, heavy, crawling on the skin sense. But what terrified him more were the images. They started slowly. One evening, as he brushed his teeth, he caught a flicker of movement behind his reflection. A girl, sitting on the floor, crying. He turned, nothing there. Then came the flashes, brief scenes that lasted less than a second. A road, headlights, blood, a woman screaming. Then just him, standing in front of the mirror again. But he remembered the scenes as if they were real, as if they'd happened to him. But they didn't, did they? One night, he placed a chair in front of the mirror and sat down. For hours, just watching, waiting, listening. He leaned forward and whispered, "Who are you?" The mirror did not answer. But deep inside his chest, something stirred, an echo of a memory that didn't belong to him. He saw himself, younger maybe, in a car, rain pounding on the windshield, a sharp turn, a scream, then silence. He gasped for air and blinked. The mirror returned to stillness. He got up and stepped away, dizzy. Whatever this was, it wasn't just hallucination. It felt too real. Like the mirror wasn't showing reflections anymore. It was showing truths, but not his truths. Someone else's. Karim didn't want help, but he also didn't want to lose his mind. After 4 sleepless nights and too many whispered voices, he booked an appointment with a therapist. A quiet man named Dr. Sadek, old-fashioned, soft-spoken. Office filled with old clocks and the scent of worn leather. Karim didn't tell him everything, just enough to test the waters. "I've been seeing strange things," he admitted, "in a mirror. Things I don't remember living, but they feel real, like memories." Dr. Sadek listened, barely blinking. No judgment, just silence and a slow nod. "Do these visions come only at night?" the doctor asked. Karim nodded. "Does the mirror speak to you?" That caught him off guard. He hesitated. "How did you?" The doctor leaned back in his chair, his fingers folded. His eyes, now sharper, locked onto Karim's. "You'd be surprised how often mirrors are involved," he said quietly. "People think they reflect, but sometimes they store echoes, residues of others, especially if they belonged to someone who passed suddenly, violently." Karim's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Dr. Sadek stood and walked to a cabinet, pulled out a small, leather-bound book, flipped through the pages until he found an old photograph. A man standing in front of the same mirror, same room, same angle, same face. It was Karim, but dressed differently, older somehow. "That's impossible," Karim whispered. "That's Kamal," the doctor said. "Lived in your apartment. Disappeared 3 years ago, without a trace." Karim's hands trembled. "Listen to me," Dr. Sadek continued, voice low. "Don't spend too much time with it, especially at night, because the more you look into it, the more it looks into you." Karim returned to his apartment just before sunset. The city felt colder than usual, or maybe that was just him. The photo from the therapist's office haunted him. It wasn't a lookalike. It wasn't coincidence. The man in that photo had his face, but older, worn, like someone who had been through too much and never came back. As night fell, the mirror seemed to wait for him. The apartment grew quieter, the ticking of the clock louder. Even his breathing felt borrowed. He told himself he wouldn't look at it tonight. Not even a glance. But at 2:01 a.m., he stood in front of it again. Not by choice, by instinct. He stared, waiting, daring it to move, to break, to speak. Then it did. The reflection blinked, but Karim didn't. His chest tightened. "Who are you?" he asked. The reflection's mouth moved, soundless, deliberate. Karim leaned in. The reflection mouthed again. "I'm you." "No," Karim whispered. "You're not." The mirror darkened slightly, like a cloud passing behind glass. Then the reflection raised a hand, slower than Karim's, and traced a word across the inside of the mirror with a finger. K-M-E-L. Karim staggered back. That name. It wasn't just in the therapist's file. It echoed in his head, now like a forgotten lullaby. A name that used to mean something. A life that might have been his. Then the reflection did something new. It spoke, for real this time, not as a whisper, but clear. "You're in the wrong side." For hours, Karim sat frozen in the corner of his apartment, staring at the mirror from a distance, as if it might reach for him. "I'm on the wrong side." What did that even mean? He opened his laptop, searching desperately for anything, stories of people seeing things in mirrors, old urban legends, missing persons linked to reflections. But none of it felt real enough. Nothing matched the clarity of what he had seen, except one anonymous forum post. "If your mirror starts showing you things out of sync, get rid of it. It's not broken. It's a door." A door. Karim stood slowly, moved to the mirror again. This time, he didn't speak. He didn't move. He just looked, and the reflection did the same, until it didn't. Suddenly, the reflection's background shifted just a flicker, but enough. The room behind him was no longer Karim's apartment. Same shape, same walls, but darker, wetter. Something alive in the shadows, something moving. Karim's breath caught. The reflection smiled again, not his smile, a stranger's smile. Then it raised its hand and pressed it to the glass. Karim stared until something in his body moved on its own. His hand, without permission, rose to meet the glass, and when both palms touched, something cracked. Not the mirror, not the glass, something inside him. Karim didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his hands. They looked like his hands, but they didn't feel like his. Every blink was slower. Every breath felt borrowed. He began to forget things. Small things at first. His phone password, his sister's birthday, the sound of his own laugh. And worse, he started remembering things that weren't his. A red scarf, a silver ring, a woman's voice calling out the name. Kamal. He tried calling his sister. No answer. He checked his ID. It still said Karim. But when he looked into the mirror, it said Kamal, carved, scratched faintly in the glass, like it had always been there, waiting for him to notice. The reflection no longer followed him perfectly. Sometimes it looked slightly to the side, as if distracted by something behind the mirror. Other times, it stared directly at him, motionless, long after he had moved away. Then the dreams began. Dreams of falling not through air, but through glass, breaking, reassembling. Each time he woke up, his face felt slightly different. Not wrong, just not the same. He opened the old photograph again. Kamel. Was he a past tenant? A ghost? A version of him from another life? Or had Karim never existed at all? The thought made his skin crawl. He returned to the mirror one last time that night and whispered, "What are you doing to me?" The reflection smiled, tilted its head, and replied, "I'm finishing what you started." Karim wasn't sure how much time had passed since that night. Days had become indistinguishable from one another. The apartment felt more like a cage than a home. Each step, each breath was heavy, like he was walking through thick fog. The mirror had taken on a life of its own. He couldn't stop staring at it. Sometimes, when he wasn't looking, he felt it watching him. Then one evening, the reflection didn't move at all. It simply stared at him, still, silent, almost patient. That was when he understood. He wasn't looking at his reflection anymore. He was looking at Kamel, not a version of him, not a ghost, but Kamel himself, a man who had never left, a man who had been living behind the glass all along. His mind raced. The mirror was a prison, a trap, and Kamel, whoever he was trying to escape. The more Karim stared at the reflection, the more he felt himself slipping away. His memories were fraying. He couldn't remember if his name was Karim anymore. The past felt like a dream he had lived, but never truly experienced. "Let me out," Kamel whispered from the glass. Karim's chest tightened. His fingers hovered over the mirror's surface, trembling. He didn't know if it was the fear or something else, something pulling him closer. "Please," Kamel's voice echoed in the room. "I'm not you. You're not me. But if you don't help me, we'll both be trapped." Karim reached out. His fingers brushed the cold surface, then pressed harder, his palm flat against the glass. For a moment, the mirror warped. The reflection began to ripple like water, distorting. Then, suddenly, the mirror pulled him. He gasped. His body lurched forward, as if the mirror was sucking him in. "Karim," Kamel cried from behind the glass, but his voice sounded wrong. It was filled with desperation. "This is your only chance. You have to come through." Karim's heart pounded in his chest as he felt himself being drawn closer. The glass was no longer a barrier. It felt like a gateway. And then, without warning, he felt the coldness of the mirror enveloping him completely. Everything went dark. Karim awoke with a sharp intake of breath. His eyes opened, but everything around him was wrong. The apartment was gone. The familiar walls, the old furniture, everything had disappeared. Instead, he was in a place that felt too familiar, yet alien. It looked like his apartment, but the air was thick, and the shadows seemed to move independently. He stood slowly, his limbs heavy, and looked down. His reflection in the broken glass, scattered across the floor, wasn't his. It was Kamel's either. It was both. The reflection stared back at him with wide, confused eyes. But something was off. The eyes, they weren't empty anymore. There was a flicker of recognition, a sliver of memory. "You were right," a voice said behind him. He spun around, heart racing. It was Kamel, or what was left of him. But he wasn't in the mirror anymore. He was standing there in the room with him. "You crossed over," Kamel continued, his voice weak. "I didn't want this for you, but you had to see, had to understand." Karim's head spun. "What do you mean? Where am I? What's happening?" Kamel's expression was filled with regret. This is the other side, the space between reflections, the place no one should ever cross into. It's where the forgotten live, the ones who were never meant to be. Karim's chest tightened. The room began to shift again, bending and warping, as though the walls were alive. "You," Karim started, but Kamel raised his hand to stop him. "I was here long before you, trapped inside the glass. And now, so are you," Kamel said. "There's no coming back once you've crossed. You can only stay, or take my place." Karim staggered backward, his mind racing. "No, I won't stay here. I won't be you." "You already are," Kamel said with a sad smile. "You always were." Suddenly, Karim felt the glass pulling at him once more. Not the mirror this time, but the space itself. The very air around him felt like it was closing in. His body felt lighter, almost as though he was fading, slipping between the cracks of reality. Kamel's voice echoed one last time, as if coming from a great distance. "I'm sorry. There was no other way." And then everything went dark. In this story, we realize that the truth is not always as we perceive it. Sometimes the mirror, or anything we believe reflects our reality, is just a distorted reflection of what we want to see or what we fear to confront. Karim sought to escape from himself, but he ultimately discovered that running away doesn't change the reality. It only deepens the internal conflict. The mirror, which he thought was merely a reflective surface, was in fact a doorway to another world, a world of lost memories and identities that he could not escape. But more importantly, when he began facing the truth, he started losing himself between the worlds and lost the ability to distinguish who he was now and who he had been.